Welcome, media friends, Web3 friends, to another time show. Doing a little bit later today because some really interesting meetings this morning. With Rug Radio and with other projects that are building in a very important way because, not only are we building just sort of the tech side of things, but the community and the tools that we have available to us. It's a weird world right now that we're living in, where platforms are getting bought by megalomaniacs. I'm sorry, Elon Musk. That's not some sort of jab, but it's just like it really is like now a plaything for him to express and experiment with, perhaps at the detriment of us. Honestly, like, you guys are probably watching right now, and maybe there's 4 or 5 of you, whereas there used to be maybe 40. I think a lot of individual content creators are seeing a huge downturn in discoverability, on the Twitter side of things. And it's very, very, frustrating for us because we have no control over that. And so I just wanted to talk today about some of the ways in which we can combat that as community, as creators, like as people who, make things. How do we, protect ourselves against these moving tides within Web 2 and in Web 3? And so I brought in my lead correspondent of change, really, I guess. Hello, how are you? I'm trying to contribute to the show as much as I can. But, as you say, it's just like the platforms, they buy you and then they sell you, and kind of like my NFT, I got bought for. So before I came here to this very home, I got bought and sold 9 times. It was really not cool. It was kind of a shit, man. Well, here's the thing. So, on our show, you can't really say these words like the S word there. And so this is my point exactly. Like, if I say these S words, these shit words, then you go shadow ban me, and that changes the whole paradigm of my ability to grow in this platform. Okay, I mean that's pretty fair. It's being banned simply. Being banned is a thing. Just getting booted off a platform. We know that's a real thing. We know TikTokers, hey, you could be, your entire platform can be made illegal, at any given moment. And sometimes platforms die. Like, hello, Viners. You remember Vine? It's just like these things that we have zero control over as creators, as artists. And so it happens as well in movie studios as well. It's like you could have a deal, at a studio, and, you think, oh, I'm going to make this movie. And literally the bosses just change on you. And the new bosses, they come in, they don't want the content. They want their movies that they want to do. And poof, you're gone. And so this is my point, man. Poof, you mess with me, and then I go poof. And then what do I have? I have no other things, no other platforms to go on to. This is a good point. So I think one of the ways that you can combat this is diversification. And so currently we're streaming in YouTube, Twitter. We're working with partners, at Theta, working with Pinata, working with a lot of other partners that we'll talk about here on this episode, because of this idea of diversification of the content and of the things that you do, and somehow I have this huge fear of losing the backup. I've lost it in several of my student short films, and they were the best ever. But it's just like the school erased the hard drive, and then my backup drive got damaged, and that's gone. And so this thing that you've been working on, that you've put a lot of value into, creating is gone, and it's a loss of time and sort of resources, but also the content itself, having its ability to play. I know there's not much of a market yet, but I think that in the near future, much like with Dust or these sort of genre specific platforms that will pay for content, will pay for shorts, will pay for discoverability, much like these shows, eventually. And also in Web3, there's a hunger for content and for those who do create, whether that's videos, whether that's music. And so I think as creators, entrepreneurs, artists, how do we protect ourselves? We can diversify. And so this is, like I said, this is streaming in multiple videos, but also this also gets syndicated into Apple and Spotify as podcasts. And so, just finding ways of backing this up within the Web 2 world is sort of a strategy of mine here on the show. But also, looking at, speaking with, the Thetas of the world, the IPFS gatekeepers, like Pinata. I think, we're going to cover Pinata because I think it's a very interesting new way of examining the access to IPFS, because currently the Thetas of the world and the Live Peers of the world are, they kind of turned their back on the individual creator, to be honest. Like, I think there was early experiments in Theta, and if you follow the show, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all those good things, because I bring this stuff live because it's cogent and it's in the moment and it's going to change next week. Sorry, podcasters that are listening like a week later, but it's constantly evolving and constantly changing, and so just the idea of backing these things up into a Web3 platform like IPFS is, it seems like it's a necessary thing, but the ones that kind of are the gatekeepers, the new gatekeepers, if you will, like Theta, like LivePeer, they I think maybe they were overwhelmed by a lot of really bad content early on, and they were just like, we're now just paying for hosting a lot of really bad content that nobody's watching, that they weren't able to bring in audience. And they tried early experiments with BitBoy Crypto, with a lot of influencers to bring audience to their platform, and it failed spectacularly in this great way to show that a lot of times you don't really have that ability to move an entire platform. And so this is the idea of people who do Twitch and YouTube at the same time, is they feel like they need to grow those platforms because Twitch could change their entire, and they have, their level of attainability or rules, and suddenly, you're just, you don't have the audience there anymore. And so to do it concurrently is a lot easier than to try and switch and move. And we found that out really early with Theta's early grab at, kind of becoming the next YouTube. It wasn't the point, but their experiment in it was like, can we bring these influencers onto a platform, and maybe a couple hundred at best from the biggest influencers were able to bring an audience to their platform, because there was a lot of obfuscation. There's a lot of you had to get involved in the Theta ecosystem. You had to get involved in Live Here ecosystem. You had to get involved in ecosystems to then watch, but you did get contribution. You did get pay to view, which is exciting. I think it's nearly there, and it's very close. It's on this channel. We posit that it's those that are able to kind of maybe put the horse in put the horse in front of the cart. Put the horse in front of the cart, because it seems like it's going the other way of just like trying to almost leave Web 2 and then like jump into Web 3 with Web 3 tools. But I think as we posit here on the channel, if you utilize Web 3 tools and then deploy into Web 2, we're doing this thing where we're securing our assets, we're securing our IP, we're securing our content, and then distributing in a sense. And so something could happen on like YouTube's definitely going to ban me. Like for the host, for me, they are going to ban like all of the YouTubers, because I am just look at me. I am so like attractive, and look at these heaps. Look at these heaps. I thrust these heaps, and not so well, but I thrust my heaps, and the metaverse girls, they go wild. And so there's a lot of debate as to what is good content, what is what is maybe insightful content. And so as those marketplaces determine that, because that's what they're going to do, they're going to go with the marketplace. They're there to make money. Like, they're not going to mess around with being on the right side of history these things are here to make money. And I think that that's, we talk a lot about it on the show about like sort of the dangers of that. But to protect ourselves by having our content on Web3 platforms, I think first might help in this regard. And so let's kind of go through what I think Pinata did a couple of months ago was to introduce something that was a bit more user-friendly, that was a bit more straightforward in terms of access, because Theta has kind of jettisoned their project. They're actually going to try and maybe, split it or something. They don't quite know what that vision is for that platform, other than they're going to do an incredible layer 0. Like, I had a really nice discussion with one of the team members there, and they're going to do an incredible layer 0 deployment so that others with libraries can come right in, or other content libraries or other sort of content creation entities can come right in, and they can share resources in this very, very innovative, cool way. So a lot of media companies can be sort of in this Cosmos sort of ecosystem kind of way, sharing resources without clogging the system, without being, oh gosh, an altcoin is pumping, I can't mint my NFT at the same time as these other guys, because then gas prices are going to be through the roof. And so for allowing for throughput, technically, Livepeer kind of the same way. They really stepped back from originals and started looking for libraries and started looking for the studio partner, and they found them, and they're going to do very well. But we're all just kind of waiting for them to turn their focus back to the independent, if possible, the independent creator. If they find the market for it and the desire for it, because it's hard. We complain a lot. We expect the best, and I want my face to be in 4K. Why is it such a problem to be in the 4K? See, it's like all of my wonderful expressions, they get lost in the see, here I am over here in 2K, I'm in HD, but over here you can see my face, and it's a muy muy bueno, and it is a muy bueno experiments to have something that is accessing IPFS, meaning the storage that is immutable. Ostensibly, if you get something on IPFS, here's the thing. So you get something on IPFS, it's forever, as long as you pay. Like, you still have to, you have to develop a system to where, it pays for itself, it pays for the use of the storage for all those quote unquote miners. And, we get on our high horse here with nodes a lot. But those people need to make money, or that ecosystem will crash. And so for it to sustain itself, I think Pinata came up with a clever way of, again, just becoming an interface, because even IPFS is a bit technical to get into. And I feel like, even the devs run into problems, uploading, NFT collections to IPFS, just the lag of it, and certainly the access of it is not very fast. It's not very conducive to video. It's like something that you usually mint, on a server. You do AWS, or if you're smart, you're doing Akash, and then you put it into IPFS and store it there, right? And so you're just like, okay, now it's going to live here, and we can pay a small amount for it to live, quote unquote, eternally on hundreds of servers throughout the world. And so yeah, it sounds great, but the access to it until now has been really, really dev sort of based. And so I think Pinata did a nice slight pivot here a couple months ago to begin offering, which seems like, something that's very platform-like. And so creating your own platform, which Beam also is fantastic about promoting, individual platforms. Be your own platform, Mihai says from Beam. Hi, Mihai. Hi, Tess. And so they want to ostensibly create, tools in which you can store the content and then develop the platform. And so each having, their own specific takes. But I think the Pinata one is interesting because, it acts as that step of security, of, in a sense, of surety of content's going to be alive, because drives and then platforms, and then you're gone. But having it all stored in one place, and then deploying into Web 2, which I think is the, oh boy, Pinata wants me to register already. And I'm gonna take you guys, through this journey as I go through there, because I think it's a smart way of content delivery, having it being able to be controlled and then deployed to the platforms. Because again, if you go right to the platforms, of many YouTubers have felt, many Viners, like I feel bad for the Viner who went all in and suddenly the platform's gone. Hopefully we're able to kind of, retain that content and repurpose it, which many have. But it's just like being at the whim of that. It's like, again, I'm super deathly afraid. And so most are focused on aligning, with these content, these content platforms to, to come in and be the easy solution. And so that's what we all kind of hoped for with Theta and with LivePeer. But as the Plus brothers say, there is no cavalry coming. The cavalry is not coming. And so it's kind of up to us to utilize these tools and to identify ways within the process in order to protect ourselves, because things are going to change unbelievably fast, as Pinata says. And so 200 server locations around the world. They're going to do video optimization, image optimization. And I think they're trying to do some brand tools, because I think eventually they want to get to what Beam has. And what Beam has is something I think that's more catered towards filmmakers and, those with features or with the ability to, bring an audience to, quote unquote, their own platform. And so each of these is trying to, again, bring from Web 2 the heat into Web 3 and empower, people who create. But that's the misnomer, right? Is like trying to bring the audience. Whereas if you can deploy, from Web 3 to Web 2, you might be at least leveraging some of the great tools that are coming along that are being developed that we cover here on the show. Please like, subscribe. For creators and for artists and for entrepreneurs. I mean, these are entrepreneurial efforts as we, even doing this show, even, doing a Salt and Sound or some of the other projects that I'm involved with. It's like you need to consider ways keeping your brand strong and consistent. A dedicated gateway allows you to request your content faster from IPFS nodes. Sorry, you guys are getting the shortened version. There we go. And so, they're setting up ways of like submarining, is more of a sort of a token gated sort of thing, again, which is great, because then it's allowing, this is again going back to what Beam kind of already has, to be honest, but in a very filmmaker centric sort of thing. But if you can apply this to anything, to this show, to what have you, to my are you still with us in the metaverse? Hello, did we lose you? Hello? Did we lose you? Oh no, here I am. It's if you wanted to do my OnlyFans, this is a great way, for those who want to see me take off this chest plate and this wrist plate and see what it looks like underneath. This is the stuff that gets us in trouble. I'm sorry. We cannot do that. But we can utilize these tools. And I think in summation, finally, the thing that we can do is, I know it's sort of like be culturally relevant. Be relevant in ways that matter to your community, because your community can follow you to different places. And typically, want to see you however they want to see you. And so thank you very much for those. Was it this week 400 listeners on Spotify and Apple? It's just like great. It's just like, it's not massive, but it's just like that's how they find this show. For those of you watching on Twitter, for those of you watching on YouTube, it's like welcome and thank you. And please, like and share and comment on the thing, because that's the way that you can help combat ostensibly what's happening in these platforms to individuals and creators. Is that when we're not getting that interaction, the algorithm just is like, oh, this person must suck. So I know I suck in many degrees, but appreciate everybody's support thus far. But it's almost doubly important now, especially in areas like Twitter and YouTube, where the algorithm has definitely gotten much harder in the past year, from the early discovery days of content like this, and certainly, it's like we try to entertain, we try to do weird stuff here, but this human guy, this meatbag over here, he works very hard. I do try and work as much as I can on trying to bring everybody up to date with the opportunities that we have in media and with our IP. But that's kind of, my passion. And that's, I could shill a dozen projects, honestly, of those who approach me, for pay. And I just think they're, not that they're bad projects, but, that it's tough for me to wade through that stuff, because I'm always choosing to serve the community, because I have a vision for like 3D and the metaverse and sort of new media, and it includes your growth and not just their growth. It's just like they're like, oh yeah, we got the coolest thing, and like it's gonna be banging. I'm like, well, how is it that you're gonna make superstars out of the community? How is it that you're gonna make superstars out of you guys? And so that's kind of my growth is your growth, and your growth is my passion. And so those fine stars, they eventually transitioned. They went to Instagram Reels and these sort of things. And so in this video, I hope you learn just a bit about sort of a methodology about leveraging Web3 into Web2 and deploying into Web2 to protect you as a creator, to decentralize, honestly, the power that they have just a little bit, if only for your own personal protection. Thanks for joining. See you in the next one.